Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America. A little later than usual, but we had a couple of big cards. Del Mar is there in their closing weekend, and Kentucky Downs as they're in their closing few days. They'll have a card on Wednesday coming up as well. So took a little time going over those. But we're back in the studio here. Got back in yesterday for OTB Live. Earlier this morning, obviously, with Handicapper Support. But our first Racing Across America. And I thought we'd do a little recap and catch up with some news and whatnot this morning. News of, us and Saratoga and maybe take a look also, more of a look at some of the stakes at Kentucky Downs coming up a little bit later if we have a chance for that. But in the meantime, we talked a little bit about it on the Handicapper Support, and I will reiterate, it was fun this year. We have the DePaula Play of the Day, and congratulations to the Brooklyn Cowboy and Steve Bick as well for participating with the DePaula Play of the Day this year. That had a group of patrons who benefited from Plays of the Day plays all season long, so that was a lot of fun, always is. But this year we also added the Dark Horse Play of the Day, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga. And the folks at the Dark Horse really appreciate all of you who stopped by. That was a lot of fun too. They said they got a great response from OTB folks stopping by all season long, not only at the Dark Horse downtown, but also their sister store up the street, Impressions of Saratoga. But Dark Horse, the game plan with the Dark Horse Play of the Day was to find something a little under the radar, technically a long shot, but there are some days where there's just not a clear long shot you can land on. So we were looking for one that was maybe a little bit under the radar. And it wound up to, I was just looking through the list I made here, wound up, early on, things kind of started out. Back on July 17th, we had the $34 winner in Lady Thornhill. On July 16th, we ran second with Answer In at 28-1. Wound up on August 17th with a $28 winner, Socially Selective. And, wound up the meet altogether with Nobilis running second on the last day. I wanted to get that one. I wanted to get the last one to be a winner for the Dark Horse Play of the Day. But it was an okay second, and again, added to totals. The folks down at the Dark Horse, and we have the shot. We talked about it on the Handicapper Support earlier. I went down to the Dark Horse Mercantile yesterday, and they presented the big check to the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. You can see there on the right of your screen, Kim Weir from the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, and Marianne and Maddie from Dark Horse over on the left, and I'm in the middle, presented the big check. And again, Dark Horse during the meet put a win place show wager on each of the Dark Horse plays of the day, and then the game plan was to donate that. They not only did that, but they added a little money to the total as well, so we appreciate that. There you can see the Dark Horse totals. There was 36 plays. Obviously, there's 40 days to the meet, but we had 4 of our plays scratch. 5 winners, 6 seconds, 4 thirds, and you can see we were in the positive areas in each of the categories, win, place, and show, with the 36 plays. That would be $72 for a $2 wager. So you can see we're over that in each of the categories nicely. So on the win end, nice little total of 261 overall. So nice positive ROI with the plays throughout the meet. The Dark Horse Play of the Day. Again, it was a lot of fun. Got a lot of feedback from people over on the front side too, who were kind of paying attention and maybe playing along and hopefully making a little money, because there was a few opportunities there. So again, we appreciate the folks at the Dark Horse Mercantile for participating, and thank them for their donation to the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation on behalf of the Play of the Day. And again, tout you swinging by in the off season. They're still cooking downtown Saratoga, 445 Broadway. You can go, and we've said it all meet long. And again, I was in yesterday looking at the old timey horse racing pinball machine. A lot of fun, but they have a lot of horse racing memorabilia in addition to apparel and home decor. And a lot of fun down there at Dark Horse Mercantile. So again, feel free to swing by in the off season as well if you didn't get a chance to swing by during the season. So Dark Horse play of the day, a lot of fun this year as the meet wound up. Speaking of the meet winding up, talked a little bit about it closing day, but the numbers weren't final there. Giving you the final numbers now. Irod Ortiz and Chad Brown did get it done as anticipated going into the last few days. Irod Ortiz was clearly going to be the winner, and he was with 53 wins at the meet. Irod Ortiz, a clear winner over Joel Rosario, who had 39, Luis Saez 38. Flavian Prat, fourth with 36. He had a pretty good meet, and I think we were all anticipating him coming east and doing well, and I think he wound up fourth. But I think that was a pretty good meet because it's always tough up at Saratoga. Who do you get, tied up with as far as trainers and whatnot? And Todd and Chad, being the New York-based trainers, they're already tied in. So a new jockey comes in. They're maybe getting some of the guys who are coming from out of town, or getting lucky and getting some of the other horses from Chad and Todd. So it becomes a little tougher than a guy like Irod, who is New York-based much of the year, and so already has some relationships developed. So the fourth from Flavian, fourth place finish in the jockey standings, was very good. Jose Ortiz had 33, Manny Franco 27, Javier Castellano, good meet for him, because the last couple of years, maybe not so much up at Saratoga, but a lot of people, as you walked around the facility, were kind of saying this is like a throwback for Castellano. He did very well, winding up, what was he, 6th, 7th on the list with 26 wins. John Velasquez, 22 wins, but one of those added a nice human story to the meet. John Velasquez gets his 1,000th career victory at Saratoga, his 1,000th Saratoga victory, maybe 2 weeks ago or so. That was a lot of fun. We played because I had recorded him addressing the press in the winner's circle, and it was fun to listen to him. He said a couple of years ago his wife realized, man, you're close to this, and this is going to be fun to go for. And John said, wait, what about you're planning 2 years out? Maybe I won't even be riding. She said, no, you're going to go for it. And he got it done. It was fun to see him leave the winner's circle, walk on the jockey path through the clubhouse, the bottom floor of the clubhouse, and then out through the backyard to the jocks room, because Saratoga fans, being Saratoga fans, they realize a milestone event like that, and they were lined up, and there was a lot of people getting autographs and taking pictures and whatnot. So that was a lot of fun. I will also note the jockey list on the final wrap-up sheet that gets sent out from NYRA. They put all the jockey wins, and so there's a whole list of jockeys who had one win, but one of those was notable because I had her on the show and it was a lot of fun. Jackie Davis with the win. Maybe 2.5 weeks before the meet ended, maybe not quite that. But it was a lot of fun to watch. Jackie Davis, who has been fun to watch for the last few months, as she's been riding out of Finger Lakes and doing well there. But before Saratoga, she would go down to New York and ride down at Belmont, and then pop back up to the Finger Lakes, and she was doing some of that at Saratoga as well. But the afternoon of her win, she was in Saratoga and riding for her dad, Robbie Davis, with a group of locally based owners. And it was a group of owners who kind of got to know each other and decided to form an ownership group during the pandemic season, when they sat outside the gate, outside the fence, and watched the races. And they became friends and eventually got a horse, Hallelujah, and that one got it done. And so the whole story with locals involved all over the place. But then again, the Saratoga fans being the Saratoga fans, as the horse came back to the winner's circle, lots of great applause. And you could see Jackie Davis emotional. Her dad, her first career win at Saratoga, doing it for her dad, and the locals all about. Again, at Saratoga, I've said it for the last week or so, and I say leading into the meet every year. They're superstars on the equine side that make the races a lot of fun, but there are always a lot of great human stories as well, and that was one of them. That and the Johnny Velasquez story on the jockey side of things. Trainer side of things, it was Chad Brown. Todd Pletcher had a really good meet, but Chad had the 40 wins. Todd Pletcher had 35. Then it jumped down to Christophe Clement, and the Clement barn had a nice meet. They had 18 wins. Bill Mott was 16, tied to Mike Maker with 16. Steve Asmussen, 13. Linda Rice, 12. Brad Cox, 11. Wesley Ward, 9. Dave Donk, I thought, had a really good meet. He had 8 winners. Tom Morley, we had Tom and Maggie on the last week of the meet. Tom had 7 winners. Number of trainers then tied at 6 wins. Mark Cassidy, Phil Surrey. Wayne Lucas with a really, really nice win. I thought he had 7 overall, though. I'm going to have to go back and relook at that. I thought Wayne wound up with 7 because he had a nice winner on closing day. To add to his total. I thought it was 7 overall. I'll check that and get back to you on that. Regardless, one way or the other, he had a stakes win with Naughty Gal. So Wayne Lucas, good for him, doing very well also. So again, just kind of catching up with the human side of things at the Saratoga meet this year, and also, as I say, the dark horse play of the day, just kind of wrapping it up, putting a bow on, a little exclamation point on some of the stories and some of the things we were doing up at Saratoga. We'll take a break and come back and look at some stakes action also from the last few days that we didn't get a chance to look at, and just talk a little bit about some of the stakes performances that helped make Saratoga what it was. These in the last few, on Monday I showed some of the major stakes performances with Epicenter and Nest and whatnot. But again, we didn't get a chance to look at the Spinaway from last weekend, the Hopeful from the other day, the Baruch. And then there was also a nice little stakes race the other day down at Kentucky Downs that I thought we'd look at with a 2-year-old that may be worth watching a little bit from the Asmussen barn. So we'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll do a little stakes recap action. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish in the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning as, again, we kind of look back and reflect on Saratoga. Going back to last weekend, and again, some of that action that we didn't get a chance to really take a look at. The Spinaway was last Sunday, the highlight of the meet for the 2-year-old fillies, and we had Mark Cassidy on the show last week, and he was very high on Wonder Wheel, compared Wonder Wheel to some of the really nice horses he's had in the past. Wonder Wheel went off as the 7-5 favorite. We'll take a look at the stretch run. Wonder Wheel will be the number 9 horse. Kaling for Todd Pletcher, coming off a debut victory. The number 1 horse, the second choice, runs third. The winner here is going to be number 6, Leave No Trace. Looking pretty good here. Wonder Wheel runs nicely and gets second, but a nice win for Leave No Trace, who was coming out of a career debut victory earlier in the meet that looked pretty good. That was in one of those auction restricted races, as this horse cost only $40,000 at the May Fasig-Tipton sale. Trained by Phil Serpy, and it was fun to see and hear from Phil Serpy in the winner's circle after the race. New York-based trainer, gets a grade 1 victory, put an exclamation point on a nice Saratoga season. And he made the great point. He said, you come out of that maiden victory at Saratoga, you don't know what you have, but these days, you get to the end of summer and all the other horses are in the same boat. Sometimes you wind up with some maidens in a race like this, but you wind up with lightly raced horses who can go one way or the other. You don't know what you have. Take your chance. He took his chance, and Leave No Trace looked pretty good doing it, getting it done. Again, the grade 1 victory for Phil Serpy. And again, proving that if you got a horse and they're ready to roll, take your shot, and you don't know what might happen with Phil Serpy and Leave No Trace in the Wellspring Stables, folks. They wound up with a nice grade 1 exclamation point on the Saratoga meet, so good for them. Let's take a look at some of the action from closing day. The Baruch and the Hopeful. We'll start out with the Bernard Baruch, and we will watch Emirati get it done. Emirati is going to be the number 8 horse in here. The favorite was Moulage, who I had underneath. I wasn't totally convinced. It was a Euro transplant from Chad Brown. Winds up running 6th and last in the field. The winner, however, again, being Emirati, another Chad Brown horse, but this one gets away at 6-1. City Man is the horse I like. That one wound up 2nd, and Winner's Back winds up 3rd. But Emirati under Flavian Prat goes out and kind of walks the dog out there. 23, 47, 111, 135, and 141, getting it done on the front end and getting it done pretty convincingly with a chart margin of over 3 lengths. So Emirati for Chad Brown, Michael Dubb and company. Again, Flavian Prat on board, gets career victory number 6 and career start number 18. The second longest price on the board? No, the third longest price on the board. There were actually 3 horses at 6-1, and that horse, this one was in between those two, and there was also a 14-1 shot. But still, Chad Brown horse at $14. There was some Chad being the leading trainer and being the leading trainer in a fashion where we all know that's a possibility. He had some prices during the meet if you played around and took some shots a little bit with some of the Chad Brown horses, particularly early on. There was a point early in the meet, but not completely early. I mean, we were a couple of weeks in maybe where you played Chad Brown horses and you had a nice little positive ROI, which was always a little bit eye-opening, but did it again with a 6-1 shot on closing day. Also want to take a look at the Hopeful, wrapping up the stakes action at Saratoga with a grade 1 for the 2-year-old boys, one of the highlights of the season always, and it's going to be number 2 Forte getting it done for Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli. And I kicked myself a little bit. I had Gulfport on top, and you can see Gulfport, the number 4 here. It's kind of, giving a little, you can also see the rain there. Fortunately, closing day, the weather was probably the worst of the meet. It was cold there, too, which had not been a factor at any point in the meet. But a little cool, a little wet on closing day just a few days ago, past Monday. But as I say, I was in here doing OTB Live in the afternoon when Forte won on May 27th down at Belmont. And it looked like, oh, this is going to be a nice horse. And Todd Pletcher came right out of that and said, we're probably headed to the Sanford. That's where they went on July 16th. Horse went off the favorite and wound up 4th in there. I liked the horse in the Sanford. And I jumped off a little bit the other day because I thought Gulfport would rebound from the disappointment in the Saratoga Special, and ran well. But I also thought Most Strike was very interesting. Most Strike was a little bit disappointing as the second choice, running up 4th the other day, just missing by a neck 3rd to Blazing 7. So Most Strike was a little bit disappointing. Then I had Forte down in the 3rd spot. But as I say, given that I liked him in the debut and then liked him last time in the Saratoga Special where he ran 4th, I probably jumped off the bandwagon a little early, particularly It's 6-1. The price was really attractive. I mean, I had him down in the third spot. My handicapped in the morning and the picks I had played, published. But in the afternoon, I did have a little forte. When you look up at the board and you see that potential $15 and change price, I did use a little forte and in the pick plays and whatnot as well. But I kind of kicked myself. I wasn't bold enough to go with them on top. But given all that said, he'll be a nice little 2-year-old to watch. By Violence, so there was some win early, lived up to that in the debut, and then lived up to the debut with the win in the third career start in the Grade 1 hopeful. Todd in the winner's circle afterwards was kind of mentioning maybe the champagne. We'll see, this time of year. It's interesting to see where the 2-year-olds go and how they shake out. There are some opportunities, and obviously the Breeders' Cup being one of those, but Forte looking pretty good on closing day at Saratoga. As I said, that this week there was also a little 2-year-old stake a couple of days ago down at Kentucky Downs, and I thought we would take a look at that as well, because maybe a horse worth watching. Private Creed. This is the juvenile sprint, and as all the races are down at Kentucky Downs, it was on the grass. Juvenile sprint, the favorite was Sharp as Attack, and Private Creed was the second choice. Joel Rosario for Steve Asmussen, and Private Creed had started 3 times before. Had broken the maiden in the debut at Ellis, then came up and tried the Skidmore Stakes at Saratoga and ran third off of those 2 starts. This was the third start. It had started twice before. This was the third career start and gets it done on Thursday in that juvenile sprint. Gets it done by a chart margin of 3 1/4 with Sharp as Attack, the chalky favorite, running second. But I thought Private Creed, again, by Jimmy Creed, has that win early breeding, has now lived up to it with the 2 wins in 3 career starts. But again, always fun to look at 2-year-olds that may be a little bit intriguing watching going forward. And I think that might be the case for Private Creed. So a couple of wins now in 3 career starts. Also had some news that I wanted to get to. Pulled up the release that was sent out yesterday as far as Kentucky Downs, and great job with friends of ours down at Kentucky Downs. Jenny Reese always does a great job down in Kentucky over at Ellis, and also at Kentucky Downs, but for the Kentucky HBPA as well. But she reached out to mutual friends. Tim Wilkin is now down there. Mike Kane doing a little coverage as well. And so the notes they sent out yesterday had some, interesting factors to pay attention to over the next couple of days. One of them talked about trainer Mike Maker is looking for his 5th win in the Kentucky Turf Cup. But it noted in the press release, Mike Maker has won more races than any trainer in the history of Kentucky Downs, 75 and counting, but only gives him a 4-win lead over Wesley Ward. So Wesley Ward and Mike Maker both kind of dueling there as the leading trainer, but Mike Maker currently head. He started more horses than anyone in track history, 436, including 31 so far at this meet. Mike Maker is quoted as saying, biggest purses in the country. We have a lot of grass horses. We've done very well here. So it's obviously why we have as many entries as we have. And he has entries in today's Turf Cup, which again has him seeking his 5th win in that race. Gufo is down. We talked a little bit about him on the Handicapper Support earlier. He's trying the Turf Cup. To me, coming out of the win in the Sword Dancer, he is live. That was a good-looking win in the Sword Dancer over Mirror's Mission. As I said, a lot of people, Mirror's Mission, a little bit of a... At the price, the number of people who I subsequently ran into who said, boy, I needed Mirror Mission, and Gufo just got up. At the price, it was kind of funny, not to those people, but funny that so many people had it at the price, Mirror's Mission. But Gufo ran that one down late in the Sword Dancer in a good-looking effort. So I don't blame them taking the shot, but and I think this is from our friend Tim Wilkin. It is. He wrote about Gufo having arrived at Kentucky Downs. Said he looked bright and alert after about 45 minutes after stepping off the van from the 16-hour drive from Saratoga. Clement said, I like him very much. He has been a very honest horse for the last 3 years. He has been competing at the top level for the last 3 years. But he does note, Clement does say, with the turnaround pretty quickly from the August 27th Sword Dancer, Clement says, I'm doing something that I usually don't do, which is run a horse back at the top level in 2 weeks. But he surprised me how well he came back from the Sword Dancer. I thought the level of his energy was so high and he looked so good. It's very difficult to pass on $1 million race if you think you can be one of the choices. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see what Gufo does do today on that scenario of the quick turnaround of a very, very good effort. And there was another note that they sent. They do a great job. There are extensive notes from, as I say, the PR team down there. But one of them I wanted to bring up, Gage Holmes, an apprentice jockey, getting a rare experience for a jockey who just started her race riding career in late January. She's 26 years old. She's a Penn State graduate. She's going to be riding in the ladies' turf, $750,000 purse that was increased to $1 million with the presence of the Grade 1 winner Dalika in the field. So this is kind of a rare experience. An apprentice jockey getting a shot at $1 million Grade 1. Gage Holmes, again, started her career back in January. She'll just be fun to kind of check out a little bit later on. Henrietta Topham will be the horse. You can take a look for that one in the ladies' turf with Gage Holmes on board. Maybe a little bit of rooting interest for all of us, or at least a fun story potentially coming up later today in the ladies' turf at Kentucky Downs. Arklow, Mike Kane writes a nice story. I'd put Arklow on top. He has a titled Oldie But Goodie. Arklow is back for round 5 in the Turf Cup. And I mentioned it before. 4 starts at Kentucky Downs, couple of wins, couple of seconds. So I liked Arklow in the Turf Cup on the horse for a course angle. And given Kentucky Downs and what it is and how unique it is, I think some experience under the belt is an absolute plus. So I'm going to use Arklow in there. Brad Cox is quoted as saying, he is a horse that does relish Kentucky Downs. We'll see how it goes. And again, on the horse for the course angle, I'm going to play a little Arklow. Did also want to bring out this news because it came out just a couple of days ago. And it involves a couple of friends of ours. So congratulations to Barbara Livingston and Mike Welch for winning some honors, some prestigious honors from the New York Thoroughbred Writers and Broadcasters Organization. Jim McInvale also is getting an award. He'll be, McInvale will get the, just looking at actually what award he is getting. I'll get to that, but what I wanted to get to was Barbara Livingston and Mike Welch are winning awards, as well as Chris Lincoln and Tom Padula, who also deserve it. But of course, Barbara Livingston, we had her on the show a little bit earlier this summer. She's got the nice exhibit over at the Racing Museum of that cache of old-time photographs, the Rafferty photographs that she is now kind of parsing through and whatnot. And if you go to her Twitter feed, you can see some of those occasionally. If you go to the National Museum of Racing website, some of the extras that didn't make it into the exhibit are there, and they're fascinating. But also, if you get a chance, go over and see the exhibit. But we always have fun when we have Barbara sitting in with us. And she is getting the Joe Palmer Award for Meritorious Service to Racing. So congratulations to our friend Barbara Livingston. Mike Welch, been with the Racing Forum since 1972, and Tom Padula, also a longtime journalist covering horse racing. They will each be honored with the Walter Haight Award for Career Excellence in Turf Riding. So congratulations to both Tom, but also our friend, of course, Mike Welch. And as I said, McInvale and Chris Lincoln also getting awards. And I'm just kind of going over while I'm looking. And I'm not seeing the title of the McInvale. Oh, here we go. He'll be honored with the Mr. Fitz Award for typifying the spirit of racing. So congratulations to him and Chris Lincoln, who, I wonder if we're far enough out that folks don't remember his Racehorse Digest program on ESPN, because we're going back to the 80s and the 90s. I had worked with him a few times when he came up to Saratoga. This is going back to when I had the television production company up in Saratoga. Shot some video for him for his ESPN program a couple of times. Shot some Sky Beauty stuff with Alan Scher. I wonder if I still have that footage in storage. But as I say, that we're going back a ways for that. And if folks don't remember, that was a great way, before the internet, to keep up with stakes action in the horse racing game. So Chris Lincoln honored with the Jim McKay Award for Career Excellence in broadcasting. So again, congratulations to everybody. But again, wanted to mention that because our friends Barbara Livingston and Mike Welch amongst that group. Also printed up, we're in the last couple of days of Del Mar, so I printed up the Del Mar stats, jockeys, and trainers over the last couple of days. Juan Hernandez has the jockey title wrapped up, as I'll get to in a minute. Trainers, a little bit more interesting. But Juan Hernandez, J.J. Hernandez, 46 winners coming into today. Umberto Rispoli, 20 behind at 26. Ramon Velasquez, 22. Mike Smith sitting fourth with 16. Joe Bravo, 15. Abel Cedillo, also with 15, as is Edwin Maldonado. So again, a little bit interesting there. I will note that there was an article that came out yesterday, or maybe it was a tweet. I think it was an article, maybe in the Racing Forum, but wherever I read it. Florent Giraud, who, spent most of this, Flavien Prat is the interesting one, who spent most of the season up at Saratoga. Flavien Prat, I'm looking down the list here, 12 starts at the meet. He's got 4 wins. But to get into the top 10, he would need 12. And so he's kind of live to make the top 10 after having, not ridden that much at the meet. So Prat, a little bit intriguing there to maybe why, things would have to really break his way. But it's not out of the question. So we will see what happens there over the last few days of the meet. And on the trainer side of things, this, as I say, the jockey side pretty much sewed up. On the trainer side of things, though, it's going to be interesting over the last few days. Bob Baffert and Doug O'Neill coming into today are tied with 17. Phil D'Amato with 16. Peter Miller with 15. This is a very, very interesting situation as far as the trainers for the title. And like Saratoga, I think Del Mar has a little more cachet out there in Southern California, where trainers and jockeys like to wind up with the Del Mar trophy on the mantle, so to speak. So we'll see how that all plays out a little bit later on today, today and tomorrow, over the last couple of days at Del Mar. Woodbine, I mentioned earlier on the handicapping show, Ron Gierkink, DRF correspondent for DRF, notes that Woodbine will wait to decide on Queen's Plate name change. As I said earlier, I didn't even realize it was tied into the Queen in that fashion, but they're thinking about reverting it to the King's Plate. I'd always known it as the Queen's Plate, but also the article noted that the Queen actually attended the race 4 times: 1959, 1973, 1997, and as recently as 2010. But it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do. And as I say, I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't sure at all. Didn't know that it was tied in to the Queen. Obviously it's named after the Queen, but I wasn't sure it was tied into who the monarch was at the time. But they're considering a name change for the Queen's Plate with the passing of the Queen, who again, sad news obviously on a bigger scale. But sad news in the horse racing world is she was a very much a fan of the game and would appear at the races over there in the UK with some regularity at some of the big meets. So be interesting to see, as I say, what Woodbine decides to do. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for this edition of Racing Across America. As again, we kick things off here back in the studio after a very, very fun summer up at Saratoga. Again, we appreciate your kind words. When I go to the front side, obviously people recognize me from television, and it would literally, a dozen people a day would walk up and say, love the show and enjoy the guests. And I have the good fortune to be the one that hears that, but I pass it on to our guys behind the scenes because they did a great job, did and do a great job as well. So I appreciate the feedback, and I pass that on to everyone involved. And as I said on the last day of the meet, Monday, for folks who maybe weren't watching on the holiday, I want to thank all of you who make it possible when you tune in. And the feedback we get bolsters us, but I appreciate that you appreciate the work we do, and I appreciate all the feedback. So thanks to all of you out there. Thanks to the crew. Thanks to the sponsors as well. It was another great summer of Saratoga programming, and thanks to all the guests who, I continue to say it, the biggest names in horse racing are a golf cart ride away, and that was demonstrated very well again this year with Todd Pletcher coming over, Mark Casse towards the end of the meet. As I said earlier, we had Jackie Davis, fun interview with her. I recorded an interview with John Velasquez over in the Jocks room one day. Todd Pletcher was over. The head of the NTRA, Tom Rooney, head of HISA, Lisa Lazarus was there. Will Alampievich from NYTHA. Naj Thompson from the New York Breeders. So David O'Rourke, the head of NYRA. Pat McKenna from NYRA at the end of the meet. So really, it's a great mix of industry people, owners, trainers, jockeys, and some handicapping folks as well. So again, I'm happy that they came over. I'm happy that you appreciated it, and happy now to be back in the studio to continue on with Racing Across America after the Saratoga season. I said earlier, a little bittersweet, maybe a little more bitter than sweet when Saratoga winds up, but still some great racing ahead, including today. I'll be back shortly with OTB Live for Saturday afternoon. We'll take a look at some Kentucky Downs and more on a fun Saturday afternoon. And then as the fall continues, Keeneland will kick off and Santa Anita. We will return to New York on Thursday with Belmont at Aqueduct. So looking forward to it. Hopefully you are too. Don't forget today, I mentioned it earlier, with Del Mar wrapping up this weekend. We'll be open a little bit later today at the Clubhouse Racebook, a little after 8:30 or so, 8:45 or so for this Saturday evening. So if you'd like to come down here to the Racebook and enjoy racing this afternoon, this evening, including that Del Mar action, we invite you for a little bit of a later day here at the Racebook. Don't forget, early on, we will be tipping our cap to all of you who helped us have a great Saratoga Del Mar season with a fan appreciation day here at the Racebook. First 50 folks through the door get a $2 bet voucher. There'll also be contest, food, a lot of great fun here at the Racebook this afternoon to thank you, our patrons, for a really good summer. So Fan Appreciation Day today here at the Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany, the same spot where you can enjoy NFL action every Sunday. Don't forget that tomorrow. You can watch all the games and all the horse racing action throughout the NFL season every Sunday right here at the Racebook. Wear a jersey, you get in for free. Put your name on a square, maybe you win a jersey or a restaurant voucher. A lot of fun. That's Sundays throughout the season here at the Clubhouse Racebook. All right, I am going to wrap things up. Seth Merrow in here, Racing Across America for this Saturday morning. I'll wrap it up now. I will see you in probably about an hour and a half or so to kick off the Saturday afternoon OTB Live. So stay tuned and good luck.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.